This week, something opens that most people will feel before they understand it. Inside Mercury Retrograde in Cancer, an apology portal is beginning to form. Not because the retrograde just started, but because the emotional pressure of Cancer is finally starting to speak. Hear me clearly. This is not about deleted texts, glitchy technology, or an ex crawling back. This is about the words someone could not say, because the connection was hidden, the love was conditional, or the truth felt too dangerous to name out loud. So watch closely now. A message may return. A memory may surface. A silence may finally reveal what it was protecting. And the apology that changes everything may not be the one they give you. Because this portal opens in 3 forms, and the third one is the one you owe yourself. Here is what you need to understand about the timing. Mercury is already retrograde. It's stationed at 26 degrees of Cancer on June 29th, and it does not go direct until July 23rd. Which means you are not waiting for this to begin. You are already standing inside it, right now, on July 5th. The field is live, but the sign is everything here. In Cancer, retrograde does not misfire your emails or scramble your travel plans. Cancer is the sign of emotional memory, of family patterns, of the protective walls we build and the words we guard most carefully. This is the softest, most defended part of the chart. So when Mercury turns backward through it, something very different happens. It does not misplace messages. It reopens rooms. Rooms you thought you had locked. The unfinished conversation. The admission that never got spoken. The subtext that lived under every interaction but was never named out loud. And this week is building towards something sharper. On July 12th, Mercury reaches Cazimi, a hidden clarity point buried inside the retrograde, where the emotional signal does not get louder, it gets truer. That date matters. I will explain why soon, because if you already feel the pressure, there is a reason. So let me name what you have probably already been feeling this week. A dream about someone you thought you had finished grieving. The sudden pull to reread old messages you told yourself you deleted. A song comes on, and it does not just play. It drags one specific person forward into the room with you. A memory from your family surfaces without warning. And under all of it, a strange sensation of feeling emotionally younger than the life you have actually built. That is Mercury moving backward through Cancer. This is the emotional signature of this retrograde, and it is precise. Here is where it gets sharper. You are tired of being the only one who remembers what really happened. You are irritated by the vagueness that was never resolved. And you are suddenly aware of exactly how long you have been waiting for a conversation that never came. And if you have ever been loved in private, but denied in public, kept waiting inside a connection that never got a safe name, or forced to translate yourself for people who are never planning to understand you, this retrograde may feel like a locked room that is finally starting to open. These are not random. They are signals. And they are pointing towards something specific. Pointing toward this. Because inside this retrograde, 3 separate apology portals are opening. And they do not operate on the same level. One is literal, one is behavioral, one is internal. And once you understand which door is which, the entire week starts to make sense. The first portal is the apology they never said out loud, the message, the call, the confession, the emotional admission that may resurface this week from someone you had already filed away. The second portal is quieter and harder to argue with. It is the apology hidden inside behavior, the truth that shows up not in words, but in what someone suddenly does, avoids, or can no longer hide. And then there is the third portal, the deepest one, the apology you owe yourself, the one that closes the old timeline, even if no one else ever speaks. That is the door this entire window is built around. But to walk through it, you have to understand why now. To understand why now, you have to see exactly where you're standing in this sequence. It's July 5th and Mercury is already retrograde. That's the part most people misunderstand. The emotional review isn't approaching. You're inside it. Whatever has been surfacing already is not random. From today through July 11th, The pressure sharpens. Old conversations grow louder. Memory, you thought you'd filed away, resurfaces uninvited. And that pull, the urge to reach out or to finally understand why someone couldn't, intensifies with each passing day. Then July 12th, Mercury forms a Cazimi in Cancer, a clarifying point buried inside the retrograde where what was emotionally obscured begins to sharpen. Not necessarily easier, but clearer. Hold that date. We'll return to what it actually unlocks. Mercury stations direct on July 23rd, but the understanding arrives before then. This portal closes once clarity has already done its work, so the window is defined. The arc is set. Now we step into the first thing it opens. So here is the first thing this portal opens: the return of words that were never spoken. This may reach you as something literal, a text that appears without warning, a voicemail, a message passed indirectly through someone else, a name lighting up your screen after months of silence. But do not narrow your attention to that alone, because this portal speaks in more than one language. It can arrive as a dream where they finally say it, a memory that suddenly reorganizes itself and explains everything, a quiet understanding that lands while you are doing something ordinary. Here is why the words never came before. They were scared. They were defended in ways they could not admit. They were loyal to people who were not you. They were ashamed of what the connection actually meant to them, or trapped inside a version of themselves too fragile to hold the truth out loud. And this is the payoff. You may finally understand that their silence was never proof the connection meant nothing. But hold this line carefully. Understanding their silence is not the same as excusing what it cost you. So if they reach out, listen to the pattern, not just the phrasing. An apology without accountability is information, not repair. Because some apologies never arrive as words at all. Because some people never learn to speak the truth with their mouth. They speak it with their behavior. Watch for it. The way they suddenly appear where you post, watching everything, saying nothing. The way your name surfaces through a mutual friend, asked about carefully, as if the question itself is too dangerous to hold. The way they soften after months of coldness. The way they repeat the exact old pattern and, in doing so, show you precisely where they still are. Mercury Retrograde does this. It loosens the grip people keep on their own concealment. What they buried in behavior begins to leak. And here is the layer few will name. If someone could only reach for you in private, in hidden spaces, in the hours no one else could see, this retrograde may reveal something you have waited a long time to know. Whether they have finally grown past that fear, or whether they simply miss the comfort of your silence. But hold this line without flinching. Regret is not repair. Longing is not accountability. Missing you is not the same as choosing you correctly. Someone can carry real remorse and still be unsafe to return to. The payoff here is not access, it is discernment. Because when neither their words nor their behavior can complete this, something deeper has to. So something deeper does. And this is the portal no one else can walk through for you. Mercury retrograde in Cancer is doing something more precise than pulling old messages to the surface. It is pulling your own voice back to you, the one you quieted to keep a fragile connection alive. And in that returning, 4 apologies begin to rise. Not the ones you are owed, the ones you owe yourself. I am sorry I made myself smaller to keep the connection. I am sorry I called inconsistency love. I am sorry I accepted private affection as proof of public devotion. I am sorry I let silence become my home. Sit with those. Not as confessions of failure, as recognition. Because here is what this portal reveals. You were not wrong to love. You were not wrong to stay, or to hope, or to keep reaching. You were being loved by someone still hiding from themselves, inside a connection that could not hold the full weight of who you are. Let me say the part you have carried too long. You were not hard to love. You were too much truth for someone who had not finished lying to themselves. Feel that land. That is the emotional contract with the old timeline releasing its grip. Because the moment you stop waiting for one specific apology and begin offering yourself this one, something closes behind you. whether or not another person ever speaks. And the reason this is happening now, at this exact degree, is not accidental. Not accidental because there is a hidden mechanism inside this retrograde, and it has a date, July 12th. On that day, Mercury aligns exactly with the Sun at 20 degrees and 42 minutes of Cancer. This is a chasm. The moment Mercury passes through the very heart of the Sun's light while still moving in reverse. A brief, potent window of clarity inside a period of review. Here is why that matters. In Cancer, this chasm is filtered through memory, emotional safety, and inherited pattern. So the clarity may not arrive as a speech, it may come as a dream, an overheard phrase, a family conversation, an old message that suddenly reads differently, a quiet insight about why the silence held for so long. So do not watch only for a direct apology around July 12th. Watch for the image, the phrase, the clue that finally explains what kept the words locked. The chasm does not manufacture the apology. It makes the emotional truth visible. And understand this, it clarifies. It does not finalize. The retrograde runs until July 23rd. What becomes clear here seeds what changes when Mercury turns direct. So what does the heart feel once that clarity lands? It feels quieter than you expected, not because the pain vanished, but because you finally saw what the old timeline was built on. And once you see the foundation clearly, you stop needing the structure to hold you up. Here is what softens. The resentment does not disappear. It loosens into understanding. The waiting does not end. It simply loses its agency. And that old connection begins to lose its grip if it still requires your silence to survive. Notice what you stop doing. You stop confusing an explanation with accountability. You stop handing one specific person the keys to your healing. You stop accepting private warmth as a substitute for public devotion. What takes its place is a new orientation. You know now who is safe enough for the truth and who is not. You know what kind of love you are no longer willing to translate yourself for. You are no longer standing inside the old waiting, and that means something new can finally reach you. So here you are. Mercury retrograde in Cancer opened this portal, not for chaos, but for the words held too long behind fear, pride, shame, or a love that was never given a safe name. You do not have to accept an apology that still requires you to disappear. Closure does not need reunion. The deepest healing may begin the moment you stop waiting for someone to confirm what you already know. Comment, "I received the truth," if you are ready for the clarity that no longer asks you to shrink. And if you are done living on a timeline someone else designed, subscribe. Weekly cosmic updates await.